Hello, and welcome to the industry overview and deal description section of this PowerPoint. Is narrated by myself, Jermaine Beebe. In case you wonder what I look like, here I am. To begin with, I want to go over a little bit of background about U.S. Airways. U.S. Airways is a commercial airlines operated by the U.S. Airways Group. It's primarily comprised of a large international domestic network, which operates in about 39 states and in over 24 countries. U.S. Airways provides flights to about 95 different destinations in countries such as Europe, South America, and the Middle East. Its current fleet size is about 300 jets, and the airway accounts for about 87% of U.S. Airways Group Incorporated operating revenue. In the late 80s to about early 90s, U.S. Airlines experienced 3 consecutive years of net losses, with the largest year of loss being in 1990 at about $450 million. During that period, the company was kind of forced to forfeit many of its domestic routes and was kind of plagued by worker wage freezes and pricing wars from different competitors. This really greatly affected the company for a pretty significant period of time. But through an alliance with British Airways in about 1993, the company returned to profitability in 1995, where they were able to post a net income positive of 119 million. Since then, the airline has restructured twice and has grown to a fleet size of over 330 aircrafts, which serve about 193 destinations. Next, we want to give a little bit of overview of American Airlines. American Airlines Incorporated, also referred to as American, is a major American airline that is headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas. American Airlines operates a large network which encompasses both domestic and regional services within North America and international service to countries such as Europe, Asia, Pacific, Central America, and South America. Between the years of 2007 and to about 2011, American Airlines also faced a little bit of a decline in profits as well, which was also significant. So they were also doing a little bit poorly. Where about since about 2007, American Airlines had only posted one profitable quarter and reported losses of about 4.8 billion over a 3.5 year period, which is pretty significant. Um, During that time, they were also faced with about over $800 million in labor costs. Their airline was basically no longer able to deal with the pressures of the airline industry, and the competitions of its rivals was really weighing it down. As far as it stopped becoming a very flexible entity where the competition was really running circles around it. In 2011, though, they eventually decided to file for bankruptcy in order to kind of restructure the business. During its restructure period, it did help them out a lot. American decided to freeze worker pensions and also significantly reduce labor costs at that time. The result of this restructuring is that American was able to restore airlines profitability. With the company was they were able to report under bankruptcy while they were being monitored by bankruptcy proceedings. They were able to report about $357 million in net profit in its second quarter in 2013. So they were able to come out a little bit of a stronger company after going through bankruptcy. So why merge? Three main reasons we're interested in merging these two companies is that when you look at American Airlines, you look at U.S. Airlines and the fleets they have, with American Airlines holding about 247 airplanes, U.S. Airline having about 300 airplanes. Merging these two companies together makes sense in being able to create a more dominant company, essentially creating the world's biggest global airline carrier, which would really help us compete against airlines such as Delta. Our second reason is that we're looking to, enhancing and creating larger and more lucrative value for our financial stakeholders in this. As you will see in the next few slides, history have shown that, when airlines merge, synergy works very well as far as revenues increasing and creating more value for our stakeholders. And the third reason is because it will be able to allow us to give far more better options and services to our consumers. This is very, very important to us as we look at, the changing of the market. And so those are the main three reasons why this merger makes sense. So a little bit about the deal, how this deal would go down. This would essentially be an all stock transaction, which essentially would total up to about $11 billion in value. The deal will essentially be a buyout for American Airlines by U.S. Airways and will have an estimated net worth about, like I said, $11 billion. The shareholders of U.S. Airways will then receive a share in the new company for each of their U.S. Air shares. The deal will allow for bondholders and shareholders of American Airlines to retain about 72% of the newly merged company, and U.S. Airways shareholders would hold 28% of the new company once it's been combined. We believe the merger will also create significant value with stakeholders and shareholders being able to benefit from the $11 billion merger. The newly combined company will have a nearly $40 billion in annual operating revenue combined, which is pretty significant when we start talking about synergies. So at this time, we want to look at what both companies can produce together. And by our estimates, we believe that both companies together will bring in more value than they would have separated. To do that, we took a look at the combined synergies of each company. We looked at cost synergies, network revenue synergies, as well as label harmonization. To start off with, we took combined cost synergies of about $550 million, network revenue of about $900 million, and minus some label harmonization of about $400 million. We estimate total synergies to be about a little bit over $1 billion for this merger. Now, this is also discounting that there will probably some one-time cash costs, but we believe those costs can easily be spread over a number of years, probably about 3 to 5 years. So when you're looking at this, I think it'll be great value to merge these companies based on the synergies. You can see a clear example of how being able to combine and merge airlines has been able to greatly improve the assets and the worth of the companies involved. As you can see through this graph here from previous mergers with other airlines, as well as when the mergers from a previous American Airlines merger, you can see that the synergy was able to really increase value for everybody involved.